months after going independent myself, I see this video come up on my news feed of a couple guys that also got fired from Rebel that had a bunch of problems with them, named Kaylin and George. And they were working for Tommy Robinson, doing incredible content with him. It's going viral. Tommy's career is killing it. And these videos they're filming are just gorgeous. And I realized they've actually DM'd me before. So we get in touch and we decide we're gonna do some work together. I'll come out to London, we'll do some filming. They love what they're doing, but things are hectic and chaotic, which, let's get into that. I fly out to London, and Tommy, Kaylin, and George are, they're hard to explain. So publicly, the whole drama with Rebel Media, allegedly Kaylin and George were blackmailing Tommy Robinson. That was what the public story was. And that's why they were fired from Rebel, and that's why there was all this drama.
I'm being blackmailed. They were threatening Tommy Robinson too. Kaylin Robertson and George Llewellyn-John threatened to release video footage they claimed to have taken of Tommy Robinson confessing that he punched a guy at Ascot in self-defense.
When I went to London and I met them all at a bar together as they were laughing and acting like best friends. It was another one of those situations where I just walk in and I'm like, is anything these people in politics say publicly true? Is any of it true? Why are the three of you here laughing and having beers together when everyone on Twitter is talking about how you've all betrayed each other and are having this massive fallout? But they basically said, yeah, none of that was true. We're good mates. That's just Rebel drama. We're fine. We're all working together. Come join us in the UK. Have some fun. So I stay in the UK for a while. We film a bunch of videos. I watch their process filming content with Tommy. At this point in time, they are secretly filming for Tommy. So the public don't know since they're supposed to be in public drama. And this seemed to be a repetitive cycle. Kaylin, Tommy, and George were like a toxic relationship. They would fight all the time. They'd have problems and break up. But they also kind of needed each other. Like, they worked really well together, but they were just constantly having these makeup, breakup sessions. But the issue was both of them would make mistakes. Tommy would go out on a bender, get drunk and fall asleep under a bridge somewhere and not show up to a shoot that they were supposed to do and forget to pay them. Kaylin and George would get pissed and decide to use his credit card to pay dinner for themselves since they didn't get paid for a whole day of work they were supposed to get paid for and took the day off for. And they'd have all of these constant falling outs that were absolutely 1000% both of their faults. But because Tommy was the public figure and because it was him that the public looked to and gave donations to, and he was kind of, you know, the face of the operation, whenever falling outs would happen, all of the blame publicly had to go on Kaylin and George. Of course, they're the support staff. If Tommy's reputation is wrecked, well, then none of them have jobs anymore. So Tommy would apologize in private all the time for dumb shit that he did, for forgetting to pay them, for not showing up for things. He would apologize all the time in private, but no one publicly ever saw those apologies. So it looked like everything that ever went wrong in the relationship between Tommy, Kaylin, and George was always Kaylin and George's fault. It was another one of these million situations that I witnessed over and over and over again, where support staff would just absolutely have their reputations destroyed by famous people basically needing to protect their reputations because that's their whole job. So Kaylin and George, I know a lot of people watching this are going to be like, are you talking about those Antifa traitors? Are you talking about those scum that scammed Tommy Robinson? Oh, my friend. I'm sorry, but you have heard a lot of stories that are just not even remotely close to true. And half of it started with this beginning constant breakup, makeup cycle and apologies only happening one way publicly towards Tommy. So that's kind of explaining the grounding that I'm walking into in London and what I'm witnessing. It's all chaos. Everything people see publicly isn't quite the truth. And these people work amazing together, but it's a toxic relationship. Plain and simple. So at this point, I'm doing a ton of work with Kaylin and George. They're filming these hilarious, like just gorgeous videos for me, like how to be a single woman. It was so funny. We had so much fun filming it. But then they're also working for Tommy. So Tommy's coming by every other day saying, hey, let's go out and do this shoot and that shoot. Half of it is public with Kaylin and George. Half of it is private and secretive. They're always in some drama. Lucy Brown. Lucy Brown was another support staff for Tommy. So there were like 3 people that were basically making Tommy's career possible. And you'll notice that you probably don't see much of Tommy Robinson on your feed anymore. And you can jump up and down and blame censorship. But the reality is, a lot of people need their support staff to be successful. And when you burn them, hard to keep going.
And the people were thanking me. I had loads of people coming up saying thank you for the day. I didn't do anything. That's the truth. They done it all.
So it was Lucy Brown, Kaylin, and George. They were running the websites, they were doing all the editing, they were doing all the graphics, they were organizing all the events, they were pulling Tommy and whoever else out of bars, half drunk.
She's been seek-heiling her way around Birmingham. And somehow she thinks it's all sort of cute.
To get them to bed, to sleep, and then driving them places in the morning. It was crazy how much the 3 of these people did. But Lucy was one of the main point persons for organizing Day for Freedom. A lot of you will remember this if you were around in that time. Huge event in London. Milo spoke there, Gavin spoke there, I spoke there on a billboard right after my ban. And one of the angles that Tommy and Lucy and everyone thought would be fun to take was, this isn't just like a free speech event for right-wingers. We support free speech in general for everyone. We're gonna have a, drag queen come and sing there. We're gonna have a Muslim speaker come there. Obviously, Tommy's whole approach to things was criticizing Islam, so the idea that he would do a free speech event and have a Muslim there would be massive. Tommy actually did a public announcement saying, we're gonna have Ali Dawah, one of Tommy's arch nemesis, come and speak on stage. He did this announcement on Facebook, and he told Lucy, invite Ali Dawah, make a poster for him, bring him to the event.
Will Ali Dawah be speaking?
Yes, Ali Dawah will be speaking. He's our surprise Idiot of the Day guest.
But as soon as Tommy posted that Facebook video, he got incensed reactions from his audience. A lot of football lads, a lot of people that felt Tommy was betraying his criticisms of Islam, betraying his ideals by inviting this guy. And within less than an hour, Tommy deleted this Facebook video. Just pretended he never uploaded it. Gone, right? Deleted all of the posts he made about Ali Dawah coming, got rid of them all. The event comes the next day. Ali Dawah shows up for his scheduled speaking time. I think Count Dankula even posted a photo of the speakers list where it showed Ali Dawah's speaking slot. That when Ali Dawah and Mohammed Hajib, I think was his friend, when they showed up to give their speech, they got beat up. They got beat up and dragged out of the Day for Freedom event. A lot of people publicly wanted an explanation. Why did Ali Dawah show up, Tommy? Why did he think he was going to get this free area to speak his horrendous ideas in front of a crowd? And Tommy publicly said,
I'd be happy if my freedom and right to freedom of speech, where I was invited today, would happen today. If it doesn't, you know what that means?
You're on the menu. Clearly said Ali Dawah was not invited to speak. 3 posts saying he's categorically not invited to speak. Now, those posts were removed from my Facebook. I didn't remove them. An admin removed them. Why? I don't know. But they were removed.
Just completely lied. Completely lied. I don't even dislike Tommy. I just dislike the fact that he did this stuff.
And this is where I absolutely have to call out Tommy Robinson for posting completely fake news to his Facebook profile. In a video Tommy Robinson posted the other day, it says in the beginning, Mohammed Hijab assaults police. The description of the video says, Muslim MMA fighter turns up to provoke trouble at the Day of Freedom, and his film crew live stream him hitting a police officer. #own goal. That is completely disingenuous.
He came out and publicly said, I would never invite Ali Dawah. Never in a million years. I would never invite that moron to come speak at my event.
Lucy, you're lying, Lucy. Stop.
What do you mean I'm lying?
You said to me to delete the tweet because you wanted to introduce him.
Go on, off you go, you fucking coward.
In fact, not only did I not invite him, he was secretly invited behind my back by Lucy Brown, who is this horrible left-wing Antifa spy that is trying to destroy our movement. Oh, where have we heard this story before, am I right? And he pinned all the blame for this on Lucy. Said she did it behind his back, was secretly working against him. Oh.
It makes you question how long herself or others have been conspiring or working together. We'll soon see anyway, won't we? But yeah, I should have took the warnings. Everyone tried to warn me. Everyone warned me.
And what came of this was just horrendous. Lucy randomly just started seeing all of these tweets all over her timeline, all over Facebook, saying she was a disgusting whore, a snake, that she had betrayed the movement, how dare she, and just started panicking. I've talked to her about this 1,000 times, but it wasn't until 3 days later that she found out that Tommy had also fired her from her job. She'd given up everything. She was quite a successful photographer. She had really good opportunities. She was a young, beautiful girl with a whole future ahead of her, and she had thrown it all away to work for Tommy because she believed in what he was doing, just to be fired out of nowhere so that Tommy could keep up public appearances. That, of course, I didn't invite Ali Dawa. Lucy was a secret snake that did all of this. And he obviously, to back that up, he couldn't just keep her employed. That would look crazy. People would be like, why are you still employing this woman who's a snake who went behind your back? So he fired her. He fired her to keep up the public appearance of this lie he told. That video of him saying he invited Ali Dawa exists. It's out there. But no one bothered to look for it. They just completely believed, once again, what their idol at the front of the movement, it's Tommy Robinson, how could he do any wrong? They just believed him and took a stand against Lucy. Lucy's life was destroyed. There's no other way of putting it. Absolutely destroyed. She had to go on to government assistance. She had a massive mental health collapse after all of this stuff that she sacrificed her life for. Everyone turned against her. She had to move back in with her parents, got extremely ill, go into counseling, almost killed herself. She did nothing wrong. She did nothing wrong. And she kept trying to tell the truth and just say, no, like, we should have let him speak. That was the plan from the beginning, and no one believed her. They all took a stand against her. There are absolutely no rewards for people who stick to their values in this industry. I'm done with YouTube. I'm just doing documentaries. That's it. What's the biggest issue at this moment? The cultural peak, the mass exodus of people over the Mediterranean, from Turkey, from Morocco. Who is covering that on the ground? Who is actually looking at it from the starting points? Who's going to Turkey to where these people are beginning to walk to get on boats? No one is covering that. It's all just the mainstream media with all of their crazy slants saying every single person coming in is a refugee. There's no bad people, no ISIS members, no economic migrants, and if you question any of this, you're a bigot. Of course, that's never the full story, and Kaylin, George, and I wanted to cover it the proper way with some real nuance and investigation. So we make our pitch, tell everyone we're filming Borderless.
And what are we working on?
We're working on a new porn film, which is going to start...
Stop. It's going to be really good, and it's not porn. Making a website right now.
It's migrant.
And get on a plane, head to Greece, where they've got one of the largest migrant camps in the world, Moria. And we decided we're going to go head up further down the border and check out different locations. It would have been ridiculous o'clock. We're driving in the car, and Kaylin looks at me and says something that really took me back. He said, Lauren, I need to go back to London. I say, London? We're in the middle of filming. What the fuck are you talking about, Kaylin? He says, I need to go meet with Hope Not Hate. Obviously, I'm very taken aback. If you don't know who the group Hope Not Hate is, I of course do, because I've had many run-ins with them. One, they got me banned from Britain, and they got my Patreon account taken down by lobbying the organization. And unfortunately, I met them once after that to confront them about getting my Patreon taken down. So I was very aware of this group. They're nefarious acts, not great guys, ruined many lives of people I enjoyed, and my own. So I'm like, Kaylin, why do you have to meet with Hope Not Hate? What is going on here? He tells me this organization are blackmailing him, essentially. They are threatening both him and George with jail time, saying they're speaking to the British police, saying they're talking with intelligence agencies, that they've connected Kaylin and George with multiple radical events, including the Day for Freedom. They've connected them with the rise of hatred in London and the UK due to working with Tommy Robinson and making Work for Me, and that they're going to use all this information to get them jailed, questioned, put on lists so that they can't travel anymore unless they come and speak to the group and give them information. They're a pressure group. They're a very persuasive organization, and because they're non-government, they can get up to all sort of nefarious stuff. I absolutely believe, Kaylin and George, and still do to this day, that they were being threatened. I absolutely believe that. Kaylin and George then tell me, like, listen, Lauren, we have to go meet with them. We have to try to smooth things over. We're terrified. We're not going to be able to travel anymore. We're going to go to jail. We don't know how we're going to smooth it over, but there is absolutely no way we're going to compromise you. There's no way we're going to compromise Tommy. And it's important to mention that Kaylin and George were not just working for me at this point. They were working for Tommy. They were working for Stefan Molyneux. They were working for Alex Jones. They were working for a ton of people. And they were like, listen, we've told Tommy about it. It's all going to be okay.
I've just had Guardian and all of them follow me on Twitter.
They're all gearing up to say, if we take down those boys, then the Tommy Robinson will never happen again. Joe said there was a meeting that took place recently where they had 3 files on the table, and it was Tommy Robinson, Kaylin Robinson, and George. Everything we've ever done, our birth records, every hospital visit we've ever been to, every psychiatric, every au pair we've ever had, everything you can possibly imagine. Shit from when I was like 10 years old from another country. And they had all these files, and they were like, the hammer has to fall on one of these people, and who allowed this to happen?
So they're literally sitting there with the files and a hammer going.
Yeah, like, that's how fucking serious it is. And I'm not
to a point where if we carried on with Tommy, say he didn't go to prison and we carried on with him for another 3 months, we would probably be in prison by Christmas.
At this point, all I care about is my movie getting done. And as long as they're not causing any trouble, as long as Tommy knows, as long as they're not actually compromised, I just care about Borderless. That's my baby. That's my project. That's where my focus is. It did get done. It did get filmed. Everything was fantastic. Kaylin and George were risking their lives with me on this trip. I'm sorry, maybe publicly you guys don't believe that they were not compromised, but the guys almost went to jail with me for 5 years. I think I've got a bit of a better insight. Fast forward, we're in LA, we're filming the last bits of Borderless, the introduction, conclusion, all of this. And out of nowhere, while I'm sitting there in my friend's apartment in LA, I get a call. Calls are never good in my life, it seems, from Tommy Robinson, the ghost of Christmas past, right? I'm like, what is Tommy doing calling me? I haven't seen him in ages. I've been banned from the UK, right? Pick up the phone, and Tommy is frantic, saying, Lauren, did you know that Kaylin and George are working for Hope Not Hate? Have you heard of this? Do you know? And I'm like, Tommy, like, what are you talking about? And he's like, he starts telling me, oh, Kaylin and George were talking to Hope Not Hate this day and that day. And I'm like, you know this. I know you know this. We've talked about it before. You know, you've met with Hope Not Hate, Tommy. You've met with Nick Lowe's before. Well, he starts having these conversations with me about Kaylin and George's actions that it was a very strange conversation. It didn't seem real because he was talking about a bunch of stuff that he already knew. A bunch of things he already knew, was aware of, and repeating them as if he didn't know them. And I got a bit of a creeping suspicion that this was a setup call. It wasn't actually a real conversation I was having with Tommy. So I asked him, Tommy, are you recording this conversation? Is there something weird going on here? And he goes, no, Lauren, I would never record our conversation. That's bizarre. No, of course not. Joke's on me. I didn't think about this for months and months afterwards until it came out that Tommy was, in fact, recording our call. And he was doing it because the BBC were planning a massive expose on him. It was cocaine, hookers, I don't know. I never kept up with the whole drama. But essentially, Hope Not Hate were trying to use the blackmail they had on Kaylin to get him to go and do this BBC documentary exposing Tommy. But Kaylin had warned Tommy about the BBC documentary because, as I said, he was telling Tommy the whole time about everything going on. And so Tommy wanted to, by any means necessary, stop this BBC documentary from going to air, including secretly recording people, including getting pre-recordings of the BBC documentaries, courtesy of Lucy and Kaylin helping him out.
Wait, pause. You may be wondering why Lucy Brown is helping Tommy at this point. Wasn't she excommunicated, betrayed by him? Yeah, she was. But when the BBC and Hope Not Hate reached out to her to get her to throw Tommy under the bus for their film, she decided she hated them more than she hated Tommy and approached him with the idea of secretly infiltrating their whole project. I've just included an excerpt from a response she sent to Nick Lowe's from Hope Not Hate when he questioned her as to why the hell would you save Tommy after everything he did to you? Lucy Brown is a lot of things, but an Antifa spy, snake, disloyal, nah, she's none of those.
And it was all just such a mess. The way the BBC were behaving was incredibly unethical, blackmailing people to get subjects in their film, using Hope Not Hate and NGO to work with them. That's the reason it never went to air. But then the behavior Tommy was partaking in to try to explain to the public and to try to stop it from getting released was also completely unethical. Like, he included spliced up recordings from my call with him that were completely out of context, where I said, hey, yeah, I met with Hope Not Hate, so did you. And like, it was just this short meeting in 2017 where we had this massive like blow up confrontation and I never saw them again. Cutting out all the context of that and only including I met with Hope Not Hate. Trying to make it seem like there was this giant CIA plot against him, including myself and all these other people that weren't actually involved at all.
You're aware they've been meeting with them regularly?
I've met Joe too before. Yeah, I know that Kaylin and George have met with them before.
Continually met with them? When you was doing your Borderless documentary, Hope Not Hate flew out to Italy to meet them?
I don't know what they were talking about, but for the most part, like, I think they're just afraid of them.
It was all a very, very strange time, but oh my gosh, did that cause the rumor mill to start talking about how I was a secret Hope Not Hate spy? It made me really sad too, because I would have been perfectly willing to speak to Tommy just in an interview on camera and tell him, oh yeah, no, I disagree with what the BBC is doing. I think this is wrong. This is what happened. Tell him the whole story. Would have been completely happy to do all of that. But it can't just be, you know, a complex story of exposing what the BBC did wrong. It had to be a total victory for Tommy, even if that meant destroying the reputations of me and everyone else around him, as long as it was a total Tommy victory. And it was the same shit I had seen over and over and over again. And then I get a text from Milo Yiannopoulos, which, if you've been paying attention so far, is never a good omen. Milo calls on the phone and he's irate about Kaylin and George. And I just don't care at this point. I tell Milo, listen, I'm married. I'm starting a family. I've got these visa issues. I can't talk about anything. I can't be involved in anything publicly. Please just leave me alone. He is so angry though. He is going off saying, Lauren, you need to help me. You need to do something for me right now. If I were in a room with Kaylin and George, I would put a shotgun in their mouths and I would blow their brains out right now. I hate them and they need to pay. And Lauren, I have all of this horrible gossip about you from ugly women that are jealous of you. His words. And I would hate to have to publish it because you didn't want to give me any blackmail on Kaylin and George. Lauren, don't you remember what an awful person Margaret was? Stole all the privilege grant money? Oh, and then it turns out Milo actually had the privilege grant money. And I was sick of it. I wanted none of it. I was like, Milo, no, I'm not going to give you blackmail on them. They haven't stolen from me. I don't want to be involved in any of this. And half the questions you're asking me are extremely leading and completely untrue. So I just told him no. No, Milo, you know what, write what you will about me, I don't want to be involved in it. But unfortunately, a lot of fucking people in politics do. They're willing to throw anyone and everyone under the bus to keep Milo off their ass, to keep anyone off their ass to save their career. At this point, I wasn't working with Kaylin and George anymore. They were off doing work for Stefan Molyneux, they were working with Alex Jones, they were working with Tommy Robinson, although probably half and half behind the scenes at this point. Now, one thing I really want to hit on is you'll notice most of this article is about how Kaylin and George screwed over Tommy Robinson, how they were stealing from him, ruining his life, trying to get him killed, trying to dox his family, all this stuff. And Tommy never said anything publicly to deny this, right? In fact, I think Milo may even have a bit in the article where Tommy says it's all true. So if you think this video is all just about how Milo fucked up, Tommy is not off the hook here either, because this was some pretty, I think it was pretty awful to this day that he didn't come out and say this was a lie. The real tea is, Tommy loved working with Kaylin and George, and he was pissed when he got out of prison and Kaylin and George were off filming Borderless with me. He was thinking, who's going to film my videos? Who's going to work with me? You are my crew. You have made me successful. You are mine, not Lauren's crew. It wasn't the case that it was like Kaylin and George are Lauren's personal crew and Tommy was trying to get rid of them no matter what. No, it was the opposite. Tommy would show up to Kaylin and George's house with suitcases of cash, begging them to come back and work for him. But they didn't want to do it anymore because it was too much fucking drama. Way too much drama. They just wanted to do documentaries with me and potentially even work their way out of politics altogether. They were never particularly political people. They just liked doing art stuff. They liked doing movies. So Tommy still, even when this article was published, was still trying to work with Kaylin and George, yet allowed the perception of them being these horrible villains to persist to keep his reputation as the victim. Milo alleges that the reason Tommy kept working with them and was still working with them when the article was published was because they were blackmailing him and threatening him. It's Tommy Robinson. You know, you think two gay guys are threatening Tommy Robinson and forcing Tommy to do videos with them? The whole idea is just absurd.
Kaylin Robinson, who stole £20,000 Bitcoin and was sacked by me. Yeah? Kaylin Robinson, with no evidence or nothing, is their source of information for all of these allegations. So I sit and read the allegations, and I'm not stupid. One of them is about prostitution, cocaine. Now I know what's coming. I know a headline's coming across all the national media, Tommy Robinson prostitutes cocaine. I know it's coming.
That's where the money went.
That's where the money went. Yeah?
A few weeks after this article was published, they were in a studio filming all together. I have the footage of it. Tommy, Kaylin, and George all together, smiling, laughing, joking. Kaylin, in fact, has sent me thousands of messages between the two of them, all post this article being published in which they were exposed as blackmailing, trying to kill Tommy, everything, of Tommy begging them to do work together, saying, hey, we're going to do this project, we're going to do this book, we're going to film this and that. It's the same thing since dot one of meeting the three of them. There had been too much shit that had happened publicly. Tommy had blamed them for too much of his problems, much like Lucy Brown, made them the scapegoat for everything, but didn't have a good enough film crew to replace them, so kept begging them to work with him privately behind the scenes while lying to his audience, pretending they weren't working together. And they were these horrible, awful traitors. And it was the most disgusting shit. It was so disgusting to watch. I mean, Tommy had his reasons, but to me, they're still inexcusable. I guess my one crime in politics was I was one of the few people that just wouldn't f*** over my support staff over and over again to save my own career. Should have learned my lesson.